Hey guys, in this video we're going to be checking out another brushless micro. This is the Froggie 135, and this is actually one that I built. You can't buy this as a ready to fly. This comes with some pretty nice components, and this thing, it really flies well on the setup that I put together here. Of course, I put all the parts in the description as always, but let me just start off with the frame itself. It's called the RCX Froggie 135. It's from MyRC Mart. It's actually one of the cheaper frames out there. It's designed for 2.5 inch props. You can see it clears here, but it's actually a little bit oversized for a 2.5 inch prop. You can actually put a 3-inch prop in the back here, but it's not big enough for a 3-inch prop in the front, so I'm putting a 2.5 inch prop all around. I've heard of people cutting the carbon here on the frame to have clearance for a 3-inch prop, so perhaps they could redesign the two side plates here to allow 3-inch prop clearance, but then you have to account for the height of the motor, so I'm not sure if that's a good idea. Maybe they could shrink it down a little bit from 135 to maybe a 125 or 130, and then just stick with 2.5 inch props. But you know, I'm totally fine with that. I think that some of these micros fly better with the props a little bit more spread out. There's some sort of theory about that. There's some debate as to whether that's good or not. I think it flies really well. I flew this on, well, I'll put the PIDs in the CLI dump as I always do. Pretty close to stock beautifully. I don't think it's too different on 2S. On 3S I did lower the gains to fly 3S. This thing flies really well on 2S, really smooth, pretty fast, and on 3S it's totally insane. It's bonkers fast. So yeah, first of all, let me just show you the motors. These are these BBB motors. The camera will focus. So these are the BBB 1105 7500 kV motors. And at first I wasn't sure if this motor will be able to handle 2.5 inch props on 3S. I thought maybe they would get too hot. And I think maybe I got a little scared because, you know, any kind of an Emax motor that I was running would just fry my fingers on a 2.5 inch prop on 3S. This motor came down fairly cool. It was barely warm on 3S, and it had tons of power. I would say it had even more power than any of the Emax motors. So definitely would recommend these 1105s over any of the 1106 Emax motors for a 2.5 inch setup, and they're a lot lighter too. I think that's why it flies better. This thing, I'll show you the weight later. I think it weighs about 74 grams if I remember correctly. So I got these nice motors. Definitely, if you're doing a 2.5 inch on this frame, do the 7500 kV, not the 6000 kV. It'll still fly fine on 6000 kV. It'll still be fast in 3S. It's faster on 7500 kV on this setup. So the power stack that I'm using here is the HGLRC. This is the F428. Yeah, this is an F4 flight controller with a 4-in-1 20-amp ESCs. Very nice, plenty of power. Have the power wires coming out of the back here for my battery, and it's zip tied to the back of the frame. The build is actually really pretty simple. So what you want to do is you want to mount the 4-in-1 ESC first. Obviously you want to solder on your motor or your battery lead first, then connect up the 4-in-1 ESC to the main plate. And then since the flight controller just plugs in through some pins, you can save that for later. So once you basically put the 4-in-1 ESC onto the main plate, then you can connect up the motors onto the main plate and then solder on your wires. And I just have the wires going in like this. I have them twisted, and then they're just going in and then going to the front here, and going in this way. Basically it goes around the standoff, because the connections for the ESC wires are on the side. They're not on the side of the drone. They're on the front and the back. So it kind of requires a little rerouting of the wires. Just make sure you put a little thought into that. But that was pretty simple. So once you do that, connect the flight controller, and then I soldered on my receiver, soldered on my video transmitter. This is a 25 milliwatt turbo wing, all-in-one, or it's actually not an all-in-one. It's just a 25 milliwatt video transmitter, pretty tiny. And I just have my antenna heat shrink tied to this little zip tie here, and it holds it in place. keeps it nice and away from the frame. Pretty good video. And then I'm using the Foxeer Aero Micro for my CCD camera. This frame is designed for the Aero Micro or the Micro Swift, so, or one of those, you know, micro CCD cameras. There's a whole bunch of them out coming right now. I think the key to this whole build is these GemFan 2540 props. I am going to do a separate video on these. I just got these and I've been flying these on a bunch of different setups, and so far I really like these props. I think that they're better. They're obviously a lot better than the RCX 2535s because I don't like the two-bladed setup. They just are too weak. These things break way too easily, and they're expensive. This prop is way more durable. It has that sort of quiet sound that the RCX 2535s have, and I think that these are more efficient and they actually provide more power. And I think it has a lot to do with this shape, with the little tip here, and it's actually kind of curved down. But I'll have a separate video talking about the props in general. Still sort of flying this prop in a lot more different drones, and I'm gathering up my thoughts on that. But so far I like these props a lot. Okay, so let's get a few measurements here. The bottom plate weight is measuring at 3 millimeters, about 3.1 millimeters. It's a very, very durable, I think, in terms of the thickness of the bottom plate, and of course there's no cutouts or anything here, and I think they've cut this correctly. You can see the way the weave is. The frame itself is very, very stiff. It's very hard to bend, and although the arms are skinny, they're still very strong. And I like the fact that it's skinny because I think that it cuts through the air faster, makes the drone faster because of the way the arms are really skinny like that. And these side plates are 1.8 millimeters. Okay, let's get a weight measurement. I think it was about 74 grams. Yeah, 74.3 grams, so quite lightweight. And just a couple of other notes here on the frame. I've painted the sides of the pieces, the carbon pieces, with some Sharpie paint here. This is just a pen. You can get this at Home Depot or Lowe's, and they sell these in different colors and packs. It's basically like a fancy marker that puts out paint instead of ink. And that's where the purple color comes from. It's pretty nice. And then the bottom of the frame is flat. It's got some countersunk screws here for the mounting of the side plates, and also underneath this foam pad here, the screws that go into the flight controller stack are also countersunk, so you get a nice flat profile here, which is something I like. And you don't have to add more material here to protect your battery. It just adds more weight. I think this is better. So I did flash the latest beta flight on here. I believe it was 3.2.2 as of the recording of this video, as well as updating the EUCs to the latest BLHeli-S. I think it's 16.6.7. I'll put 2 cards in the corner here, and you guys can click on those videos to figure out how to flash and set up your Betaflight. And I'll put a CLA dump in the description if you want my settings. I'll have the CLA dump for 3S. So if you want 2S, they're kind of basically just default Betaflight PIDs, but you definitely want to fly this on 3S. And I'll put the recommended LiPo in the description as well as all the parts. So I'll go ahead and show you the line of sight footage as well as the FPV flights. So I'm just using a 2S 550 LiPo. It's a GNB battery with an XD30 connector. These GemFan 2540s are really quiet. They're they sound a lot like the RCX 2535s. Let's try a punch out. Let's see how this goes. That's pretty nice on 2S, not bad. Prop wash is not bad at all there. Let's get a little closer in here, the props. Very nice sounding. Almost no prop wash at all. Flies pretty nice. I should probably check the motor temperatures. Hopefully they're not too hot. I don't think they're going to be too hot. There's no D-term oscillation that I can hear. Oh yeah, they're not even warm. They're not even warm. Yeah, so these are very good props, balanced, not causing any issues with the motors. Probably fly this on 3S and hopefully they won't get too hot, but we'll try 2S at first.